Hi, today we're going to show you something that everyone loves. Ron loves it, I love it, our family loves it. It's chicken soup. It's good for you when you're sick. It's good for you when you're well. It's good for you, basically. This is the most interesting soup because it's not a lot of trouble. And we'll show you how that's done. First off, most of you will have the ingredients at home at some time or another. The ingredients is the special one. You know the little roasted chickens that you get at the grocery store? Well, at Safeway, Costco, wherever, when you've eaten all the meat off of that you want and you serve your family, you save the carcass, the bones. I put that in a big pot of water. Let me show you over here. I put it in water yesterday and I cooked it down until it just looks like this when it came out of the fridge just now. Now I know that's not very pretty, but you know what that is? Let me get my bowl here and let me get my plate. That is the separation of the fat, which you don't want to eat, and the, see this? I can scrape it right off. Easy to do. And if you'll notice that the soup part is rather gelled, and that's a sign of a good stock. When it gels so that it's, full of a jelly-like, it means it's a nice rich stock. Well, I'm going to scrape this off, and then comes the only part that's really work in this, and that is taking out the bones. I don't find it hard, and the reason I like to do it, the only reason I like to do it is that I'm much more particular than Ron. When Ron makes a soup with bones, you have to go in the middle of eating it. I don't like to do that, and I don't like to taste gristle either. So for me, this is the soup, so I don't mind. I think, wait a minute, maybe that's why he does that, is so I'll do this part. You think so? It's pretty tricky, honey. All right, now we're back to what we're pulling out. I'm pulling out the skin, because the skin comes out. See this hunk of skin? I'm going to take, I always like to feel it like this. My hands are washed very clean. Number one, I just washed them just before the camera was turned on. So I'm putting the meat over to one side and leaving the bones and the fat in another bowl. So this will take me a little while, and I don't know how long, but I don't want to take you too long on there. Let's see, is there anything? For instance, here's the wing. Let's take the wing, and there's not a lot of meat on the wing, but look at that. Isn't that nice? Now, I don't know how we missed that, honey, when we ate the chicken. Usually, that's one of the favorite parts of the roasted chicken. So, this is really just to be economical and also to be frugal, which is another word for economical.
Well, the original chicken, which provided 2 meals already, was $4.99.
Yeah, that's true. And so why just throw away the carcass if you've got a family? And the thing about chicken soup is you can make as much as you want, or as little as you want. You can make as much to serve even your neighbors, which we'll take our neighbors over a bowl of soup. We've got a cute young couple across the street. She's expecting a baby anytime, and so she happens to be vegetarian, and her husband is a carnivore, as we are. So often when we make something with meat, I'll take it over there, and he just delights with that. He delights it. So I'm going to continue doing this, getting lots. You will see there's lots of meat now. See, there's this nice little pile of meat. But the main thing is, even if there was no meat, do you know what's the best part? It's the flavor of the broth. So you could, if you didn't want to do this part, you could just put it through a strainer and strain out all the rich broth, or strain out, I guess you're not straining out the broth, you're straining the broth and taking out all the, I call it the trash. It's this, all these extra parts. Most of the bones are now, even though they weren't at the time when I put them in there, the bones are almost meat-free. And the reason they're almost meat-free is that they cook away from the bones. So you'll get a piece like this. It's just a nice piece of chicken meat. See that? Very nice chicken meat. Put it right there. Did I throw a bone in there? No? Oh, I don't know what it is. If I don't know what it is, I don't keep it. You know what I mean? I like the white meat. And I like some dark meat too, because the dark meat's what gives the flavor. Did you know that about meat? About chicken and turkey? It's the dark meat that really gives the flavor. So you've got to use the dark meat, but if you don't like to eat the dark meat, and you're spoiled like I am, being there were just 2 kids in our family, I always got the choice of the white meat, because I don't like the dark meat. I have eaten it lately, a little bit, and it is flavorful. but if I get my choice, and Ron happens to love the dark meat. He was in a family with 4 kids, so they ate what they could get. So anyway, is that right, hon?
Different periods of time we were able to eat different things,
But you seem to like dark meat. What's
yeah,
that all about?
I like picking on the bones, and you usually get more meat when you take what
What other people don't like.
what other people don't like. There's a lot more left for you.
Now, my grandmother loved what she used to say, it's what went over the fence last of a turkey, the tail. And to me, it looks disgusting, but to her, it was a great treat. And I think to our son-in-law Rich's grandmother, it was the same thing. That was her favorite part. And it's almost all fat. So I don't know how they could eat it. But you know what? They loved it. They survived. Rich's grandmother was, I think she did turn 100 before she died. Although Rich doesn't recommend eating just what people who live a long time eat, because they just may have a certain gene that allows them to eat whatever they want. And I think it's even referred to as the Winston Churchill syndrome, which means Winston Churchill drank every day, smoked cigars, was overweight, and he lived to a ripe old age. So he just happened to have a good gene that allowed him to do that. Most of us get the arteries clogged, you have a stroke, you have a heart attack. Oh my goodness, the bad things that can happen. Well, you know what, hon? This is just about done. I'm going to put my fingers through and strain this out like this with just through my fingers. See, and just pull out anything that isn't what I consider not edible. This is all looking good. Okay, so we've got a bowl of bones. I've got a plate of meat. And I happen to have saved a couple of pieces of my white meat to put in this also. I'm going to go ahead and dump this in here. I'm going to put a little bit more water because I'm going to add some carrots, but you don't need to. If you just like a chicken broth, that's fine. Now, a secret to chicken soup also, and I learned it from my Vietnamese friend Hao, and that is don't cook rice in the pot with the soup. You know why? The rice will absorb all of the flavor of the soup, and the broth will have no taste. You'll have to be very tasteless. I did it that way for years. So I like to combine the different things in my experience. And I'm going to put a ton of pepper. I'm going to turn the fire on. So remember, if you're going to put rice in it, or barley or anything, it's best to cook it separately, especially white rice. Cook it separately, and that way it will not absorb all the flavor from the broth. Well, I think we're doing that done. The reason I cover it, I'm putting it over a medium-high heat. The reason I'm covering it now is because it will help it not evaporate. If you leave the lid off, it kind of evaporates and goes into the air, and you don't have a lot. Well, while you take a break, I'm going to take a short break and find the vegetables.